Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Joel Fuhrman. And Dr. Joel Fuhrman's been a guest several times on the show, and we have great discussions on different topics. And today he's going to be talking about his passion and his care to help people on a vegan diet, and realizing and acknowledging when people that are vegan for a long time, it will extend their life. However, that opens up a whole new can of tofu. I won't say a can of worms, because there's certain things that people that are dying in their 70s or 80s don't have to worry about. Truly, things that might affect a person later in life, and one of those things is the brain and brain health. So people that are dying in the 80s or early 80s or late 70s are not susceptible to brain health issues as much as people that are living into their 90s or longer. So he presents a great case for why vegans should be supplementing omega-3. And to me, it's something that I started to ponder a couple of years ago, this question, and studied out and just continue to experiment with my own body. But there's a test called the omega-3 test that talks about or shows you your levels of omega-3. Now, we're going to have Dr. Fuhrman talking about this topic here today, but I will tell you there's some people in the vegan community that say the omega-3 test is not necessarily accurate because it doesn't measure the blood, it's stored in the tissue, and they don't agree with Dr. Fuhrman on this topic. But as a person who makes videos and teaches about the vegan diet, it's my job to present the information to you, the viewer, to decide for yourself who you want to listen to, who you want to believe, and what you want to do. And I have to look at it from a personal standpoint because I am a vegan, but I also got to look at it as a journalism standpoint because I'm a video maker and a presenter, and I want to teach people. When I wrote my first book, The Raw Life, I put many interviews in there from people that have been long-time raw foodists, but they all seem to have a different slant on the way to do it. And some people said, that's confusing. Why'd you put so many different opinions there? And my answer was because I want people to get the information and make their own decision, do their own research, and find out what they want to do with their own health. So I will present different sides of certain topics, and I will tell people the different sides. This is Dr. Joel Fuhrman, and he's going to be talking about brain health in the elderly on a vegan diet and his suggestions and what he suggests.
Protecting the brain in elderly vegans. I don't use the term that often, vegan diet, because it leaves too much leeway for people who eat processed foods and eat junk food, right? And there are a lot of vegans that still die of heart attack, still get cancer, still have dementia and all types of problems because their diet, even though it's vegan, are not particularly healthy. I coined the term Nutritarian diet. And I hate people when put their name on their diet because it's not about our name, our egos, or we don't design the diet. We're talking about eating natural foods made by nature. You know what I mean? So I call it Nutritarian to be a diet rich in natural plants that have nutrients in them. Mostly eating a diet that has the full cornucopia of colors and wide diversity of foods and fibers and nutrients in them. So I call it a Nutritarian diet, which of course focuses on lots of vegetables, because there are different types of plant-based diets. There's like a macrobiotic diet. There's a fruitarian diet. There's the people who are scared to eat any nuts and seeds, like the low-fat vegans, who want to keep all the fat out of their diet. There's people there's all these different types of diets. So I'm suggesting that when you're eating an extremely healthy diet with lots of both raw salads and vegetables and beans and nuts and mushrooms and onions, and you're eating berries and you're exercising and you're getting enough sleep and you're taking good care of your health, we should see dramatic protection against the common causes of death and morbidity and mortality in America. We should see heart disease go down to very, very low levels, if not disappear. Cancers go down to extremely low levels. and also we're not putting people on a healthy diet since birth, unfortunately. People are changing their diet when they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So it necessitates real nutritional excellence to give the protection I'm claiming we can get when you adopt this way of eating. We want to see, we know we're not going to get 100% reduction of diseases, but we can get very low levels if we adopt this earlier in life, and we try to use nutritional precision to really design a diet that's very healthfully. So my expectation is to see that we can protect against heart attack deaths, the vast majority of cancer deaths, and at the same time, reduce the possibility of PDS, Parkinson's dementia syndrome. That leads to, because obviously I'm saying that instead of being dead at age 80, like most Americans are, right? We're going to live to be 100. So we're going to live extend 20. And that's my experience has been that these plant-based eaters very healthfully have extended their lifespan. I've taken care of the patients in my practice over the last 40 years. Many people came to me in their 70s, let's say, and are now died or lived to be 95 to 105 years old. So I'm saying we can push that envelope of human longevity. And my mission is to use a nutritarian diet, which is the most longevity-promoting dietary portfolio, to be able to use that therapeutically to help people reverse diseases like asthma, like psoriasis, like heart disease, like diabetes. And it's very effective, and I get a tremendous passion and excitement of getting people get healthy again. Now, with that experience and me being a doctor for so long, and me being involved with the American Natural Hygiene Society from 1970s, and the American Vegan Society, I've been around a lot of these healthy eating vegans, not the macrobiotic vegans, not the junk food eating vegans, not the English, crumpet and toast eating vegans, but really people eating healthy diets where the expectation was where they're going to live a long time. And many of them developed PDS, Parkinson's dementia syndrome, and some of them didn't develop dementia until they lived. Some, like Dr. Vetrano and Dr. Joy Gross and other women who developed dementia, didn't develop dementia into their 90s, and they still had a pretty decent life with good health. Of course, Dr. Shelton, Dr. Burton, Dr. Sidwa, all the leaders of the natural hygiene movement developed some kind of neurologic deficits in later life. So I was concerned about this in my younger career because as a medical doctor, I was the doctor primarily that people from all over the world would fly in to see me who were vegans who developed problems. So I had a practice, and I saw many vegans with B12 deficiency, many vegans who, because a lot of part of the vegan community back then denied that B12 was an issue when people come to me with paralysis or even cardiovascular disease as a strict vegan because of B12 deficiency and high homocysteine levels, including people that died of B12 deficiency, like T.C. Fry. So putting this all together, I'm putting this in the context that humans were not on vegan diets for the last 100,000 years. This is a new phenomenon in human history that we're trying vegan diets on people. So people generally ate some, grasshoppers, frogs, snails, whatever, salamanders, seafood. Most populations, the vast majority of humans ate some small amount of animal products. But in any case, we're trying to see, okay, how can we make sure we don't have a person living longer into their 90s, and then because of brain shrinkage or inflammatory conditions or exposure to toxins or whatever they're causing, still get exposure to these diseases, because I was noticing that this super healthy diet was not protecting these long-lived vegans against Parkinson's and against dementia like it was protecting them against heart disease and cancer. So, of course, trying to be conservative and careful, as soon as the omega-3 index tests were available, I saw a strong correlation because all these people who I noted in the practice who came to me as patients if they had these neurologic deficits, they had very low omega-3 index. And I also noted that there were vegans who did not have a low omega-3 index. Not every vegan had a very low omega-3 index. And the culmination of scientific studies over the last 2 decades have shown that the conversion of ALA, because this was a nut-eating population, they were eating walnuts and flax seeds, and so the exposure to ALA, which is the short-chain omega-3, that conversion into first, precursors, then EPA, then DHA, was very, very genetically determined. And so there was the study done that the Nutritional Research Foundation supported the study, which we tested the the omega-3 index on about 150 non-supplementing vegans. And we found that about 80% had levels below 5, about, I think 65% had levels below 4, and some had levels 1 and 2. And I noted that some of the people who I knew, that some of my friends and people I cared about that were strict vegans that developed Parkinson's disease had levels that were below 1 even. So in other words, the variance of levels were among individuals were tremendous. People with a level of 1 to people with a level of 9, both eating similar diets, And so we have a huge discrepancy here. And almost all the people that developed these issues had very low levels. And that the clinical evidence has borne this out in the years to follow. Over the last 15 years, or however the test has been available, we've seen, not only in my experience, but strong clinical evidence, about 20 individual studies showing that a low omega-3 index is linked to brain shrinkage and cognitive impairment, particularly shrinkage of the hippocampus, the area of the brain where you're responsible for memory. We could give a lot of different examples, but here's a meta-analysis, which means a meta-analysis is of 17 studies on the relationship of omega-3 and dementia and cognitive decline. So studying many, many thousands of people found that, and here's incorporating 48 longitudinal studies with hundreds of thousands of people, high level of evidence suggesting that a dietary intake of long-chain omega-3 is lowers risk of all-cause dementia by approximately 20%. And this is in standard American diet eating Americans. This is not in vegans. I'm saying here that since these vegans are not going to have the same heart attack risk, and most dementia is not caused by DHA or EPA or omega-3 deficiency. Most dementia is caused by phytochemical deficiency, vegetable deficiency, eating saturated fats, atherosclerosis, other the lack of exposure to these natural plant compounds, and eating all the junk. So the fact that we're even seeing a reduction, even a significant reduction from, as DHA being a contributing factor in the standard American population, that's even striking because it's not the major cause of dementia in that population. There's much other causes of dementia that are stronger. But in a really healthy vegan population that's long-lived, when you take away all those other causes, potential causes of dementia, right? Bad diet, alcohol, pot smoking, whatever it is people are doing, eating junk food, then we have the cause of dementia being omega-3 fatty acid, being an overwhelming factor in the resulting of seeing the later life PDS, Parkinson's dementia syndrome, in these healthy eating vegans. And that was my concern. And if we're going to live longer, we want to have good brain function in later life. And there's ways that we can help using smart nutrition and careful supplementation to make sure people live a long life with full mental faculties without Parkinson's. And don't forget, there's a strong relationship of Parkinson's and dry cleaning your clothing, because the chemicals they use in dry cleaning. There's a strong relation of Parkinson's dementia syndrome and ALS with people who eat inland fish from lakes that have been overwhelming with algae and cyanobacteria, taking the toxin BMAA. So we know that there's other chemical causes of brain death, but we know that there's a relationship between a low omega-3 index and susceptibility to these toxins that can cause Parkinson's disease is also part of the studies that we have available that are demonstrating that. And that's my strong experience. I have a shocking experience of concern here, but all my people I loved and cared about, the people who were doctors and mentors to me into the natural plant kingdom world here as a physician, who lived long but developed these mental deficits and later looking at the potential danger of taking too much preformed EPA and DHA from an external source as potential causing harm, and advising people against that.
What recommended dosage would you recommend on the supplement that you have of the omega oil? What is the suggested dosage that you recommend people take, and what's too much in your opinion?
Yes, I think people could adjust their dose somewhere between 200 to 500 to get the right level of omega-3 index. I think that's most judicious and conservative approach to make sure you're not going to shrink your brain in later life. We have to do everything right to make sure we don't have to assure we don't have brain shrinkage. But don't think that because you're taking these supplements and your omega-3 index is exceptionally low, you're not going to be at risk because we have too much data to suggest, to have evidence to show that people are at risk with those low levels, and that the ability to convert ALA into actual brain-utilized DHA is very genetically and independently determined. And so that's why we have so many vegans. And my practice and my clinical experience as a physician taking care of the vegan community of healthy eating B12 supplementing vegans shows a disproportionate number of vegans. Even most of the people who are on the board and who are the physicians, the American Natural Hygiene Society, who were all taking B12. I was involved with the board of directors meetings, and I was involved with the teaching. They were all taking adequate B12. I knew these people for decades, and they developed neurologic deficits in later life. And the ones I had the opportunity to measure showed surprisingly low levels of omega-3 index, including many other vegans with neurologic deficits who I've cared for. And it's an unfortunately Achilles heel of a healthy vegan diet not to adequately address this, and to just think that taking B12 or taking B12 and ALA or expose is going to be sufficient. Because for too many people thinking that way, too many walnut eating, flaxseed taking, B12 taking vegans got in trouble in later life. And I'm the physician caring for these people, advising them and being concerned that I gave them the wrong advice. And I caused them to have some neurologic deficit with the dietary style and portfolio I was advising. And I can't allow that to happen. Because here we're talking about designing a dietary portfolio to maximally extend human lifespan past the age of that were possible with our ancestors. And now we have this potential, we can live to be, 95 to 105 years old. And it's a normal process of aging to have immunosenescence and neurological senescence, because we don't live forever. The strength of our immune system shrinks, and our brain size and function also shrinks as we age and become more susceptible to damage. And we don't want that damage that's going to end our life, to end our ability to think intelligently, have full memory, and be able to fully enjoy our life before our lifespan is up. So we don't have large-scale populations living as long as is possible today. And with that, we know certain conservative supplementation has been shown to enable the extension of human neurological senescence and immunosenescence with later life. And just like we can supplement B12, we can supplement conservatively with a dose to make sure people aren't making mistakes. There's a strong consensus among physicians who are in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine that we don't take chances with people's brains based on some of these theories, because there's too much overwhelming evidence that brain shrinkage occurs as people age. And that happens in all people who age. Our brain shrinks to a degree, and we want to retard that and protect that. And we have scientific documented evidence, and not one study, but it's called corroborative evidence that gives studies more credence, because each study contributes to the overall body of science to show that we can slow the shrinkage of the brain and prevent memory loss and Alzheimer's with the exposure to exogenous EPA and DHA. We know that this is documented, corroborative, high credence studies. The word high credence means they've had hundreds of thousands of people in the study. And we know that hundreds of thousands of people in the study, that the omega-3 index, plus the fact of taking EPA and DHA exogenously, does enable people to get to age and retard neurologic senescence and prevent Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and vascular dementia. So brain shrinkage, which is irreversible. So we have to go with the best available science we have available. And as a physician or a person who's trying to make sure you're giving people advice that's important to their life, we can't take chances with their brain health, because once we have brain shrinkage, it's pretty much a irreversible condition. We have to go with the predominance, with the overwhelming evidence we have, and come to a recommendation that's based on the data that we have.
All right, everybody, there it was. That was Dr. Joel Fuhrman. I'm going to put a link below to his website. I definitely recommend his books and also his information. And even though I'm presenting this to you from a journalist standpoint, to present the information so you can make your own decision on which way you want to go with it, I have to say the more I listen to Dr. Fuhrman on this topic, he's very convincing. He's very convincing with the information. So it's definitely something I think is worth taking a closer look at and hearing all the sides of this topic. And I know there are people, regardless of any topic that has to do with the vegan diet, they want nothing to do with a supplement. They want nothing to do with anything like that in the bottle. And then there are other people that they take way too many supplements, in my opinion. But for me, I want to make sure I'm thinking about my long-term health, because I am going to be healthy for a long time. And I don't want to eat fish. I don't want to eat fish. And if I can get the nutrients on a vegan diet, I'm going to try to do that. And if they're there. So if you are going to take a omega supplement, I do recommend Dr. Joel Fuhrman's, because he refrigerates his from most of the other ones don't refrigerate there. So that's the one I would recommend if you are going to take it. This is a topic I continue to explore and speak to people on different sides of the issue, and I recommend you do as well. I'm running my own personal experiments, tests, and research with this, and I'll continue to be transparent with you and let you know what I decide for my own body. But now you have the information. Thank you, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, for being on the show and being a guest and sharing this information. Everybody, have a blessed day. Get to Joel's website and maybe experiment with this product. I'll put the link below to that as well. Have a great day, everybody, and a great raw life. And remember to post in the comments your opinion on this topic and your experience. Thank you and have a good day.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the raw life.